Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I am so excited to show you ILNP's first winter collection this year called Santa's Workshop. This is a 6-piece assorted lineup of finishes that honestly feature a lot of micro metallic flakies, obviously inspired by the cute and cozy holiday season. As usual, I will save more of my thoughts after comparisons. For now, let me just show you the swatches. The first polish in the collection is Noel, which is an evergreen jelly filled with red, gold, and blue metallic microflakes. This had a really lovely formula where it's very pigmented and so easy to apply. I would say that it self-leveled pretty well on the first coat, but of course I would recommend building this up in 2 or 3 coats depending on your preference. Since this is a darker shade, I think it can pass on 2 coats, especially if your nails are shorter than mine. I don't mind a little visible nail line, so I would wear this in 2 coats, but I do actually really love how it looks in 3 because it just deepens that green color even more. You get a little more pop from those colorful metallic flakies, which really remind me of colorful lights on a Christmas tree, so I really love it here. And then for my full hand swatch, I'm doing 2 coats over a clear base on my pointer and middle fingers and a blurring base on my ring and pinky. I'm using Polish for Days Briar Rose, which is a somewhat close shade to my skin tone, and hopefully you can tell that it definitely helps to blur your visible nail line. And again, I really love the flakies in this. I think they just have such a beautiful glow, even in indirect or lower lighting. Next we have Secret Santa, which is a vivid Christmas red shimmer in a jelly base. So of course we have to have a true Christmas red, and this one is really stunning. It had a flawless formula that's very highly pigmented on the first coat and super even coverage too. If you want more of that true jelly sandwich shimmer kind of look, I think you could wear this in 1 coat if you really wanted, but of course I am going to be building this up in 2 coats, which I think gives it a lot of coverage, where there is a little hint of visible nail line if you look close enough, but I think there's just so much shimmer in here that it just really obscures it. And you can really see what I mean even in direct sunlight, where it was just harder to see any visible nail line on my first 2 fingers, so I don't think a blurring base coat is really necessary for this shade. I know this one is a shimmer based polish, but I feel like because it's in that sort of jelly kind of base, the shimmer particles have this almost metallic kind of glow, especially in lower lighting. Up next is Toyland, which is described as a playful mint crelly base with red and green metallic microflakes. So this one has another lovely formula that's decently pigmented, but not super even on the first coat, though it does build up really well on the second. I'm sure a few of you who keep up with my channel and know my personal taste know that I don't usually love this metallic, crelly, flaky finish from ILNP, but I think this one is so cute. I especially love it with a 3rd coat because I think it just intensifies the mint color a bit more. It makes it a little bit more fully opaque as well, even though I do think it is still pretty passable on 2 coats. Again, that just comes down to personal preference. Here in direct sunlight, I feel like you can see that hint of visible nail line on 2 coats, but with the blurring base coat, you really don't get that at all. But I feel like the color on 2 coats is just very, very pale, so doing a 3rd just makes it a little bit more minty, which I really like. Then we have North Pole, which is a sheer white shimmer with red metallic flakes. So this one is really sheer, as you can see here on the first coat, but hopefully you can also see that delicate white shimmer particle along with those gorgeous red flakes. I wasn't expecting it to be this sheer, so I am going to be building this up in 3 coats, but I will also show it layered as a topper over a couple of shades. But even on its own, I think it's just so whimsical. I know some people are gonna hate how sheer this is, but I think this is one of my favorites, honestly. I think it's just super cute, and I love the crushed peppermint candy kind of look that it has. So here it is in one coat over 3 different bases. I love how it looks over coconut cream and canvas, especially having that stark white base makes those shimmers really pop. And I would say if you do thinner coats, you can also layer this over black or darker colors, but there is going to be a slight tinge of milkiness from the base. Then for my full hand swatch, I still have this in 2 coats over a clear base on my first 2 fingers, a blurring base on my ring finger, but then I'm using a clear base and coconut cream on my pinky with the 2 coats of North Pole. I know that might sound like a lot of layers, but I do really like how that combination looks, especially compared to using the blurring base, because again, since it is somewhat closer to my skin tone color, it almost mutes or dulls the bright white color of North Pole. I'm pretty sure Polish for Days does have a white blurring base, so that wouldn't be an issue. The next shade is Reindeer Crossing, which is described as a fawn brown magnetic with gold flakes and a scattered hollow sparkle. So as a brown lover, you know I was so excited to see this one, but I'm not sure how much I love it yet. This did have a nice formula. It's just a little bit more on the sheer jelly side. So even though it is slightly darker color-wise, I feel like there was just a little more visible nail line than I wanted to see. Doing a third coat definitely does help build it up and intensify the color, but I feel like if you look close enough, you might be able to see some visible nail line, though it is pretty obscured from all the gold flakies in the background. So no surprise, I definitely do prefer this one in the velvet effect. I think it just looks so stunning this way, but for some reason, it didn't look as great for my full hand swatch where I have the velvet effect on my middle 2 fingers. It might just be the angle of the sun or something, so apologies, I had to really twist my hand to show it off. But yeah, I definitely would recommend using a blurring base coat for this. I do love how it looks on my pinky and ring finger where there's just a little bit more coverage. So even though this was a little finicky in some ways, I did really like it in the end. I know some people don't like pairing silver and gold and think it clashes, but I personally don't feel that way about this shade. I feel like the silver magnetic and the gold flakies just really work. And rounding out the collection is Unwrapped, which is a deep teal jelly with gold and green metallic flakes. So at first I was surprised to see this one since at first glance it looks pretty similar to Noel, but this is definitely more of a true teal color, and I would say there's more of a sparse flaky mix going on too, though I guess it does build up in the amount of flakies with the more coats you do. The formula and application was great though, very even coverage, and it self-levels beautifully. It's also super glassy and jelly-like, so I think this can work no matter how many coats you decide to do. Since it was on the darker side in the bottle, I thought it would be pretty full coverage in 2 coats, but you still see a good amount of visible nail line, so if you want to obscure that even more, you could again just do a third coat or use a blurring base coat, as you can see on my ring and pinky. I really love how the gold flakies just pop in lower or indirect lighting, but yeah, I had a hard time seeing the green flakies, probably because this is a teal jelly base, so it's a nice shade, but not my favorite. And here is my full hand swatch collage in direct sunlight. Again, I'm wearing 2 coats with top coat over a clear base coat on my first 2 fingers and a blurring base on my ring and pinky. Absolutely adore this color palette and these finishes too. Moving on to comparisons, we're starting with Noel and looking at it next to Pine and Ivy, which are just plain studio color kind of polishes. Pine being this buildable, crully sort of finish, and Ivy is technically a jelly, but because it's so dark, it also looks like a cream. So showing 2 coats of each here, you can see the most visible nail line with Noel since it is a true jelly finish, but doing a third coat does deepen the color to match Pine a little bit closer, and I figured figured to try to match those rainbowy metallic flakies, I can do a layer of confetti. It's not an exact dupe, but a really close recreation. And for some other greens, I thought I could show this next to Holo Taco's Feral Forest, which is another forest green sort of crully base that basically builds up to look like a cream in 2 coats. Just seeing them side by side in the bottle, I thought Feral Forest was going to be a somewhat close shade to Noel, just, you know, more opaque, almost similar to Pine, but on the nail it is a lot darker, so I wouldn't call these dupes at all. If anything, I would say that Sylvanclaw's Egoots is the closest to being a dupe. It's almost the same color as Noel's base, but a few shades darker, but there is a lot more sparkle in Sylvanclaw. And lastly for Noel, here it is next to my swatch stick of Mooncat's Velociraptor, which is a green jelly base filled with some flakies. The flakies are more iridescent and primarily in a pink and orange colorway, so I would not call these dupes. Next for Secret Santa, here's a quick bottle comparison to Joy from the Home for the Holidays collection. They're basically the same shade of red, but obviously very different finishes, so not dupes. I actually wanted to see Secret Santa next to Penny and Ruby, which are some other bright reds from ILNP. Penny is more of a fall red, and Ruby came out in the winter season, but as I'm sure you can tell, Ruby is a few shades darker, almost having this berry kind of color to it. Penny is a lot closer, especially on the nail, but it does have a little bit more of a stronger yellow metallic microflake going on. So I wouldn't call them dupes, but they definitely are very close. And the shimmer in Ruby is at least a brighter red, so that kind of looks closer to Secret Santa. I did also want to see this next to Holo Taco's Thirst Trap from their Halloween collection. Even though that is a metallic microflake formula, and again, Secret Santa is a shimmer in a jelly base, I feel like on the nail they do look kind of similar, but there is a subtle difference in their color, where I think Holo Taco is a little bit more orange and brighter. And here is Secret Santa next to my swatch stick of Ariel, which is also from ILNP. That is another bright red, but it's more of a iridescent, flaky kind of finish. So again, very similar colors, but not exact dupes. Then here it is next to Mooncat's Pandemonium, which is a bright, shimmering red, but that one is a little bit more of a smoother, almost metallic looking finish, and also a bit more orangey too. So I wouldn't say these are similar at all. And lastly, here it is next to my swatch stick of Holo Taco's Sacrificial Lacquer, which is a magnetic that has a much deeper red base, but with a bright red shimmer. Next up for Toyland, here it is next to Holo Taco's Crime and Punishment, which is a minty pastel cream. I thought these were going to be a lot closer, but Toyland has a much softer, even more pastel kind of color. Crime and Punishment is just a bit too bright, which is pretty similar to ILNP's Mint Chip, which has a similar finish to Toyland, being that crelly, microflaky, but it's almost like a bleached neon in comparison to Toyland. Then for North Pole, I first pulled out Afterlight, which is more of a warmer toned oatmeal kind of crelly base with these golden flakies. And while Liberty does have a white base, that one is a lot more opaque and buildable. And even though there are some red flakies, they're a lot smaller and paired with the blue flakies as well. I would say the closest ILNP shade is Snow Angel from a previous winter collection. I know they might not look super similar in the bottle, especially the tone or shade of white, where North Pole looks a little bit warmer, but because these are both so incredibly sheer, on the nail they just basically look the same, so I'm showing them built up in 1 and 2 coats. The obvious main difference is that Snow Angel is missing those red metallic flakes. And the last comparison I have for North Pole is with this oldie from my collection called Noodles, the North Pole, which is more of a buildable, crelly kind of base with a red and silver metallic micro glitter. Obviously, the Noodles is a lot more creamy in color and more opaque, so definitely not dupes, but a similar vibe. Then for Reindeer Crossing, I first wanted to show this next to Fawn, since Reindeer Crossing was described as a fawn brown, but the actual Sacrificial Fawn is a little bit more coppery in color, and I would say a bit more opaque. I'm showing 2 coats of each here, and I feel like you can't see as much visible nail line with Fawn, so it is more full coverage and generally warmer toned, but they do both have these golden flakies in the back, though it looks a little bit more dense in Fawn. I actually thought Reindeer Crossing would be a little closer to some other brown magnetics like Teddy or Velvetine. All 3 do have a silver magnetic shimmer, so they are similar in that way, but obviously when it comes to the bases, Teddy and Velvetine are a lot lighter and generally cooler toned, I would say. Maybe between the 2, Velvetine is closer, but it's a little more taupey. And for reference, here's Reindeer Crossing next to a couple of other ILNPs. I have Sandbar on the left, which is a much more sheer, almost peachy, sandy colored magnetic, and Timber on the right, which is a little bit deeper in color, but that one has more of a yellow kind of undertone, so I wouldn't call either of these close. I did also want to see this next to Olive's Stardust, which is a returning metallic shade from them. It's described as a rose gold, but I call it more of a champagne kind of color, and I think that silvery coolness of the metallic finish sort of looks like Reindeer Crossing, at least unmagnetized, but they're definitely not close enough to be dupes or anything. And because Reindeer Crossing is a brown magnetic, I figured I could also show it next to Holo Taco's Fairy Tale, but unfortunately that one has a bit too dark of a base to compare. I think even if you layered Rainbow Crossing over a darker brown, it just still wouldn't look the same because the flakies in the back are different, and even the magnetic shimmer is also slightly different. Lastly, for Unwrapped, I thought the closest shades that I had to compare were ILNP's Paradise, which is a bit more of an emerald green jelly base filled with these green metallic microflakies. And here is Holo Taco's Emerald City, which I think was described as also being an emerald green base, but to me it leaned a little bit teal. Either way, the base is just too dark to compare, and the flakies are also much larger, so Paradise is a little closer, but not a dupe. So here's Unwrapped next to Starry's Crystal Jelly, which might look really dark, but it is a very pigmented teal green kind of jelly base. Here's 2 coats of each, so you can kind of see they have a similar level of like saturation, but Unwrapped is a true teal color, while again Starly is a little bit more green. And I thought to try to recreate Unwrapped, I could do a layer of ILNP's Spotlight, which is an iridescent shimmer kind of topper. It definitely gave a similar vibe in my opinion, though the shimmer flakies in Spotlight are iridescent and not metallic, so it's missing that pop of gold metallic that we have in Unwrapped, but I think it's easy enough to add. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons of ILNP's Santa's Workshop collection. As always, I can't wait to hear what you think of this release because obviously I really love them. I know this color palette can kind of be overdone for the holiday season, but I thought these were so well executed. Just the range of shades and finishes, even though again, there is a very strong flaky theme in all of them. I'm not mad at it, and I thought they were overall really unique, especially to just like most other ILNP shades in my collection, although I was surprised to see how easily I could recreate some of them too, so it was just interesting and just overall so fun to play with these. But maybe I am just a little excited because this is the first like proper holiday collection that I'm reviewing on my channel, and while I normally don't love Christmas being pushed as soon as it hits November 1st, after the awful year we have had collectively, I totally understand and can indulge in some of the holiday cheer earlier than usual. So if you want to add these to your Christmas list, they will be launching on Friday, November 7th on ILNP's website, which I will have linked down below. I know it might be tempting to get them when they launch, but just in case you are new around here, new to ILNP, they usually do have a great Black Friday sale where it's 25% off, which I feel like is the most that we see from other nail polish brands. And ILNP is already one of the more affordable brands, at least when it comes to the boutiques, so you know, fingers crossed that they will still do that this year. Otherwise, this portion of the video is going to be very awkward. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there since that should be coming later this month. But I would love to know your thoughts on these down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!